The Fellowship Blades Medusa V2 has one of the coolest Balisong blades I have ever seen. But at an over $500 starting price, should a lower intermediate flipper like me even consider spending this kind of money on a single Balisong? And should you let the Medusa seduce ya? Yeah, I'll probably just end the video right here. You didn't deserve that. Well, this bad boy officially answered that question. Sort of. Because it was actually sent for free. Will and I's both were. EMPUSA, I hate that name. Which means that I don't have to worry about the financial repercussions of shoving this directly in my mouth. I'm not gonna do that gag because why would I shove an actual live blade directly into my fucking neck? Grant, Fellowship Blades himself, entered the Balisong scene in 2021 after dropping out of college to pursue knife making full time. He just has a small team making all of his Balisongs deep in the heart of Texas. And the company name is inspired by Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, which would be cool, but I'm not into that nerd shit, right guys?
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard! They're taking the hobbits to Isengard! They're taking the hobbits to Isengard! The hobbits, the hobbits, the hobbits!
Grant's first Balisong, the Pit Viper, was incredibly cool, especially for a first attempt at a Balisong, and is way better of a first attempt than I've seen from a lot of other makers. I've never flipped one, but Will has, and I've heard nothing but good or at least interesting things about them. And you can actually see the foundations that were laid for the Medusa with the Pit Viper with the very large blade and the big handle cutouts. The V1 Medusa was well received for the most part, but had a number of kinks to work out, such as the design of the Zen pins, the handles and the blade geometry, and of course just general manufacturing improvements. I initially tried the Medusa trainer at Blade Show 2022, where I also met and hung out extensively with Grant, but I wasn't initially that impressed with it. I thought it was fun, but I'd tried a lot of other titanium Balisongs that just fit my style of flipping better. But boy howdy, did I love the live blade. Of course, more on that later. Fast forward a few months later after Blade Show, and Grant was like, hey, buddy, you and Will, you want a Medusa? And of course, naturally, I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. Obviously, I'm sure there was some hope on his end that we were gonna make a video about it, and I wouldn't have if I didn't really like it. Which means that this is a video. Oh God, oh my God, the aspect ratio. The reason that I'm reviewing this instead of Will is because I only own 2 other titanium Balisongs after I sold my Fortress 2 Spy, leaving me just with my Machine Y Seraph and LDY Cygnus. Cygni's nut. Review coming eventually, somewhere, sometime, maybe, we'll see. Will's collection is filled to the brim with various titanium products, so for me, this ended up being extra special. So let's start this journey to Mordor with some extra spicy B-roll. I love the design of the Medusa. Upon first impression, I was convinced that the blade just went into another dimension when it went into the handles because it's just so big. And I'm still to this day pretty sure that it does. The bottom half of the blade is a pretty standard size and look compared to other live blade Balisongs. But the upper half, it expands into looking closer to what I had written here was looking like a Gothic battle axe, but I'm fully convinced that this is inspired by some Lord of the Rings sword. I see you, Grant. It has these really cool cascading machined lines on the outer edge of the blade that look gorgeous to me, and they look especially good in B-roll, which helps elevate my love for different knives considering I'm the one that has to shoot them all day. Oh, okay, no, not that. Okay, there you go. Naturally, Grant gave me a number 69 Medusa, which will never not satisfy my steadfast sections of immaturity that still plague my social life and these videos. I just love the blade, and it being S35VN means that it will definitely retain an edge, which I haven't had the heart to dull, which means that my hands have been less than pleased with me on several occasions while flipping this bad boy. The channel titanium handles have a different but consistent design to them that echo the original Pit Viper. I think the whole pattern's cool on the inside of the handles, the screw design is neat, and compared to many other titanium balisongs that I flipped, the edges of the handles and the blade don't have any real sharpness or jaggedness to them, giving this a very nice feel in the hand. And of course, one of the most incredible things that I found about titanium balisongs are the endless options for anodization. Endless options for anodization. Endless My Medusa got a splatter anodization from Solar Flare on Instagram, and he did a absolutely incredible job with it. People like XK Knives have done incredible anodizations with these things that just blow me away, but I'm very, very happy with mine. My balisong collection is mostly made up of balisongs that I've been able to customize in some way, and being able to anodize this however I wanted was really fun. Solar Flare does amazing work at very reasonable prices, and he's an awesome Patreon supporter, so please check out his stuff on Instagram. Because of the beautiful anodization and the price overall, I haven't had the heart to do any extensive durability testing to this. But the Medusa is known to be a durability beast, and I haven't seen a single person mention any durability problems.
Perfect. Oh, yeah, just a couple snail trails. A little hurt right there. Nuts. Other than that, beautiful.
This is very much a damage the concrete before it damages the knife kind of balisong. The bushing pivot system has been super easy to tune, and after taking it apart multiple times, it's come back together very easily every single time. And the screws haven't need any form of thread locker. It's all just really well thought out and implemented. And the big handle cutout has a secret hidden feature that we'll talk about in a bit. And now it's time to get down with the flipness and not do a parody of Down with the Sickness, because who would ever want that? But if you do want that, subscribe and consider supporting us on Patreon for only $3 a month for exclusive access to behind the scenes content and getting to talk to Will and I directly. Or buy some merch, or a case, or a Vulp. Woo! Times are tough, y'all. The biggest video that I've ever made in the history of this channel only made $50 in ad revenue. So what do you want from me? B-roll, B-roll, B-roll. I don't have a transition. Maybe I'll use that, maybe I won't. So how a balisong flips is always a very subjective thing. You'll almost always find one person that either absolutely despises a balisong that virtually everybody loves, or vice versa. I'm of course not an amazing flipper by any means, and I still have a lot to learn. And I generally prefer lighter aluminum balisongs like the Vulp and the Nautilus V2, and even plastic stuff like the Tay Flipper Calico, and even most definitely the Flip Forge Edit. Review coming maybe, eventually, that's just what I say now. So because of that, that's landed the Medusa in a very interesting place for me. But in short, I love it. Like, I really love it. At 4.4 ounces, it's certainly not heavy, but on paper, it's on the heavier end of what I personally prefer. But the balance and the way it carries momentum has made it really easy for me to adjust to, even if I have to be much more deliberate about how I flip it. With how massive the blade is and the big handle cutouts it has, I was sure that this was going to be blade heavy. But it's just not. As I said, it carries momentum really well, and does aerials really consistently, and has plenty of grip pretty much everywhere that you need it. And now time for the super epic, definitely not a secret at all, and definitely not a completely intentional design feature. It rings a little bit when you flip it. Ooh. It makes the blade a lot less scary when you flip it because you close it and it just goes, ah. Compared to other balisongs that have a ringing effect like the Squid Trainer V4, the Medusa definitely has my favorite ringing sound on any balisong yet. Which means that it's technically the Lord of the Rings. At this stage, I've flipped a lot of titanium balisongs, mostly from Will's collection because we just counted them up and oh my God, it's almost 30. But I personally certainly have a lot of room to grow in terms of owning titanium products. Between the Seraph and the Medusa, which I already covered in my very large collection video where I talked about every single balisong that I own, link right there, the Medusa went head to head with the Seraph, and the Seraph ultimately won because the Seraph is just legendary for so many reasons. But the Medusa is definitely still among my favorite balisongs that I own by a very large margin. Grant is a really awesome dude. He really cares about making great products and having spot-on customer service, and the Medusa definitely represents that. There is, of course, the trainer variant of the Medusa V2, which from what I understand is very similar to the live blade. And some people like DJ Eyeless Pyro actually found that they liked how the trainer flipped slightly more. But take his opinions with a grain of salt, because he despises the Crackerakin trainer with every essence of his soul, flips all of his Balisongs with no lubricant whatsoever, and did this during the Bally Awards. So, you know. Neither variant is gonna be for everyone, but for me, it's really surprised me and has earned its eternal place in my collection. But I'm not the only one with a variant of the Medusa. Mr. Hirsch.gay owns the EMPUSA.
Wee wee!
EMPUSA? I hardly know ya.
Get out.
Actually, that's not true. I've had my Medusa for a while now, and I can say that I absolutely love this thing. I enjoyed Brandon's Medusa from the beginning, and it flipped great. The only thing that I wasn't privy to was the blade profile. It was just a bit big and bulky, and I'm not that into Tontos in the first place. However, when the Empress blade for the Medusa came out, I was entranced by its beauty. I love the kukri style of it, with the beautiful curvy lines of the blade contrasting the straight of the swedge, and the part where your finger sits during chaplains is perfectly constructed for comfort while flipping. By the way, we also just realized that this blade profile was inspired by this sword back here. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't fully connect the Fellowship blades thing with Fellowship of the Rings because I'm not as big of a nerd as Brandon. And so when Brandon brought that up, I was like, oh, I get it now. This is kind of like this. That's good.
Thank God this sword I bought like 10 years ago and has sat in a closet since then is finally getting some use.
My initial view of the Medusa was, well, it looked really heavy and blocky, but I am happy to say that I was completely wrong about this assessment. The Medusa is light and fast and works really well as an incredibly good technical flipper. I agree with pretty much everything Brandon said. The only thing that I can say otherwise is, Grant, don't take your naming advice from MachineWise. The EMPUSA? EMPUSA? Look, I'm just gonna be honest, at least it's unique.
What about the Slopus?
Oh, I'm about to take a slow piss, if you know what I mean. I'll be back.
This is what happens when we don't script a way for me to come back into the video, so hi again. Both the Medusa and EMPUSA are really amazing Balisongs. But they do come at a high price tag, especially for me, which is true for most titanium products made on a small scale. Despite how much I love the Medusa, I'm not in a financial situation to be able to justify spending $500+ on a single Balisong, so I wouldn't own this unless Grant had sent it for free, which is also true for my Cygnus and my Seraph. But even with my flipping experience, I can confirm that the Medusa is incredibly fun to flip and something I'll keep in my collection forever. Lastly, as for the BS score for this Balisong, here are the scores. It scores very well overall, the lowest score being the unboxing score because it comes in a pretty plain box with a little sheath and it doesn't really have any other accessories outside of a sticker. It doesn't have any replacement hardware or anything like that. Though he did just upgrade the boxes, so that's good. But everything else is rock solid, including the availability score, because he does drops multiple times per month for the Medusa in a ton of different colors, so they're very easy to get a hold of if you live in the United States. Okay, I've got a couple of final notes. The actual Empress is on its way, and it looks pretty cool. And lastly, I now have my own dedicated YouTube channel. It's of course called Brandon's Balisong Corner, where I'm gonna be doing a variety of content, but mostly be focused on Balisong live streams. We actually did the first stream last week, and oh my god, it went so well. We raised over $300 for charity, gave away some awesome stuff. I pulled the biggest dupe in the history of live streams, and it was amazing. I'm not gonna be live streaming all the time, but when I do, it's gonna be a lot of fun. 69% of any money generated by the live streams will be donated to charity. So if you wanna come hang out and ask me literally any question you want, consider subscribing to Brandon's Balisong Corner. Huge shout out as always to our Patreon supporters. We love y'all, and I've personally got some very exciting future plans for some special treats just for Patreon supporters coming in the very near future. It's just $3 a month to support us, get exclusive perks, talk to people like Howard and Moth on the private community Discord, so consider donating. But seriously, if you can't do that, simply liking and sharing these videos helps us a ton. But that's pretty much it for the moment. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna take Will to the very edge of the lava in the middle of Mount Doom for absolutely no reason at all.
I just don't know why we couldn't have flown here.
Okay, flying fool.